Hi everyone, Professor King here. In this video, I'm going to be going over essay number 1 for English 102 so that whatever's on the page can be a bit more clarified through my totally clear and concise speech that I always have at the ready. Just kidding. So I'm going to take it to a share screen in a moment, but as I always like to say, if questions, comments, or concerns come up, please feel free to contact me. Zoom, Canvas, email, Pronto, whatever works best for you. And feel free to pause and stop and go through this recording when you need to take breaks. I just always like to give those 2 reminders. So I'll take it to the share screen now, and we will go over the prompt. If you go into Canvas in this week's module, you should see a file for essay 1. You can also find it under assignments. So it's in multiple places on Canvas if you need to look for it, or if you get lost, just let me know. But this is the prompt itself. This is the poem and/or parable analysis essay, because those are the 2 genres that we have been looking at so far in this course. Just to start with some general information. Your essay does need to be 5 to 6 pages in length in MLA format. A lot of students ask me, what happens if I don't complete the full 5 to 6 pages? And my response is, whatever fraction of an essay you hand in, that's where your grade percentage starts. So if 5 is the bare minimum, you need to get to 5 pages if you want to get as close to full credit as possible. So let's say you handed in an essay with 4 pages. 4 out of 5 is 80%, which is what the highest grade for your essay would be. The reason why I do that is, 1, because it's just easy to kind of, figure it out that way mathematically. But 2, the things I'm asking you to do in this essay can't be achieved well without hitting that page length. So make sure that you're doing everything you can in terms of structure and analysis and idea development and process, right? Drafting multiple drafts, getting multiple pairs of eyes on it, taking feedback, and then following up and building on that, whatever you can do to prepare for this. You will need 2 to 3 outside sources, and I'll talk more about those in a moment. The rough draft and final draft due dates are on not only on the syllabus, but they are on the discussion board and essay assignments on Canvas. So check there for those. Make sure you're on top of that. In terms of the sources I want to come back to, your research needs to be quality, academic, college level research. And so what that means is it needs to be of the highest quality, relevance, and accuracy. Your sources also must be up to date to current research in the field. Or if you're using historical research from the time period in which, say, the poem or parable was written or published, then it has to be sort of historically relevant to that. You are not allowed to use Google, Wikipedia, or literary summary sites as outside sources for this essay. So go to the library website, library.fullcall.edu. I even have a discussion board coming up in week 5 that will help you to further develop those skills of research that then you can then utilize for this essay. But make sure that you are avoiding Google, avoiding Wikipedia, avoiding like those Spark Notes or summary type websites, because that's not college level research. That's like superficial cocktail party research. So keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to go down to the prompts now. You have 2 from which to choose. So the first one asks you to analyze and interpret a given poem or parable from the class readings through week 5 of this course. You'll want to construct and support a thoughtful argument based on your analysis and interpretation. And so what is that saying? Well, that is saying, right, choose the poem that you have the most to say about, that you think is the most interesting, or maybe the one you hate the most, whatever gets you writing a lot. Choose that one and tell us your interpretation of it. What connections are you making? What analysis are you engaging in? What greater references or allusions are you, allusions, right? Not illusions, allusions, references are you seeing going on? You know, again, be really creative, really think outside the box, and avoid getting somebody else's interpretation first. I really want you to do your best to have fun with this thing, but let it be your own creative output, your own academic, thoughtful, argument-based output. Again, get weird with these things. Like I love to read a weird interpretation. I would much rather read that. It's so fun and refreshing to read something like that than to, you know, read something cut and pasted off of SparkNotes that like somebody else wrote 10 years ago. So yeah, you're taking a risk and you're probably like afraid you're going to fall flat on your face. But I can tell you honestly, from an instructor standpoint, those are much more enjoyable essays to read in terms of interpretation and creativity and analysis than something everybody else has already said, right? So do your best to choose a poem that's going to allow you to really explore in that way. Or option 2 is to compare and contrast any one parable or poem to any one other parable or poem we have studied. So if you want to do a parable to parable, that's fine. If you want to do a poem to poem, that's fine. If you want to do a poem to parable, that is fine, right? But you're doing a comparison and contrast. You want to construct and support a thoughtful argument based on your comparison, your contrast, your analysis, and your interpretation. So again, same rules apply in terms of being creative and having original thought and really trying to have fun with this thing. But this one allows you to look at 2 so that you have, you know, for some people, it's easier to come to those points of analysis and interpretation if they're comparing or contrasting something. For either option you choose, you will want to consider the social, cultural, historical, or biographical context in which the work was written, the literary terms we've studied thus far and how their presence in the work supports your argument, elements of the genre, parable or poem, and how they are pertinent to your thesis, or other thematic and stylistic elements of the poem that either you know about that we haven't covered in class, or that you're noticing, or that you want to explore more. So keep that, you know, these are items we've been working on since week 1. So now is your chance to perhaps review the discussion boards you've submitted and say, maybe I could develop that into a lengthy essay. Or if that doesn't work out, you can look at the discussion boards and say, hey, I can see the skills that I was using in these discussion boards to make these sort of connections and share these ideas. Now I'm going to take those same skills and just apply them to a different text, right? So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, we are no longer in 5th grade, so we're not doing book reports, which means you want to get away from just summarizing a text, because summary is only doing half the work and it's going to receive a grade that reflects that. College is all about showing me yourself, your critical thinking brain, and what you're doing with it. So analyze, analyze, analyze. Go beyond simply just parroting what other people have said in the discussion boards, and really go deep, right? Analysis requires you to understand a whole work by breaking it down and thoroughly studying how its individual aspects work together to form a working text. I put work a lot in that sentence. Oh, well, whatever. And again, I've mentioned this in previous videos, but the people writing these poems are making very precise, very deliberate decisions about the overall impression that they want to make. So you have to think about that as you're constructing this essay. In other words, why are the writers using this word instead of another word? Why are they creating this image? What effect does that have on you as the audience, right? Thinking about the rhetorical triangle and the rhetorical situation is going to help you here. It's your job to unearth what those decisions are and why they're there. It's also your job to present your analysis in a clear, well-argued, well-documented, and error-free paper. That's part of the requirement, right? That you write polished essays. On the second page, I've taken the liberty of showing you what the heading of an MLA essay looks like. So this would be like the top of the page here. Top right, you have your last name and page number. Then you have your name, my name, the course name, and the date. I don't really care if it's like the date you submit it or the date that you write it. Like, you're not going to get points off, you know, for that. So as long as it's not like something that was written 5 years ago and you pilfered it off the internet, you know, not to say anyone would do that. So that's the top left. And then the center, the title, think of a clever title for the assignment. It's centered. It's the exact same font as everything else on the page. So it's not bold. It's not italicized. It's not underlined. It's not all in caps. It's not a different font size or a different font. It's just the exact same as the rest of the essay, but clever title centered. And then your introduction and subsequent thesis statement will start right at the gate, right out of the gate, right? So you indent your first paragraph and then make sure you keep in mind Times New Roman 12-point font, 1-inch margins, double space. You indent all of your paragraphs, just to clarify. But this is, other than the margins on this particular paper, which are 5.5 instead of an inch, this is exactly what your essay heading should look like. This is MLA, so it has a heading. It's not APA, so there's no cover page. Your works cited page does not count as one of the 5 to 6 pages. The 5 to 6 pages are of your essay construction, critical thought, creative work. But that's pretty much it as far as the prompts are concerned. If you have questions, please feel free to contact me at your soonest convenience. I know we have a couple weeks to work on these essays. I wanted to share this as early as possible so that we can start thinking about what we want to do. But it's never a bad idea to get a head start and then ask me as you go. You don't want to be in that habit of being the person who writes the entire essay the night before, because that's you're essentially writing a first draft that you're handing in, and an essay should be drafted several times, multiple times, before the final draft is ever submitted. I'm going to take it off a share screen now. But again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I am here to help. I'm happy to help. And I hope you all have a wonderful day and rest of your week, whatever it is. And I'll see you all in cyberspace soon. All right. Bye.